Pittsburgh Steelers are stuck in the past waiting for Aaron Rodgers. This is Colin Cowherd. All right. So Chris Olave to the Steelers was a hot rumor at the end of the week last week. And so I was looking at the Steelers and I was kind of just dissecting the depth chart and looking at kind of their, year-to-year performance. And I'm really confused of what the Steelers are doing and what the Steelers have been doing. And it's kind of flown under the radar. And I'm not sure exactly how or why Aaron Rodgers fixes any of that. So we're going to listen to Uncle Colin, and then we're going to break down a little bit of what's been going on in Pittsburgh.
And I really don't care where he goes. If he retired, great. If he goes to Pittsburgh, fine. They're a third place team. I don't really care. And he has some personal drama situation in his life, so I can have some sympathy for that. I don't really care. That if you were in the league and worked in the league, if he just retired, how would Pittsburgh view him if they were caught off guard?
I just don't think they had many other options. Like, I don't think that they are losing a bunch of sleep over the situation, which sounds crazy, but we have a pretty good sample size now knowing that they think they could get around, I don't know, somehow not attempting to get a Joe Burrow, a Lamar Jackson, just drafting quarterbacks year in, year out.
So Pittsburgh right now, it seems like, is all in and expecting at any minute Aaron Rodgers to be their quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, who was horrible with the Jets, who was just as bad as Zach Wilson was with the Jets. Okay, that's who they're putting all their eggs in his basket. Pause. If they do not get Aaron Rodgers, it is Mason Rudolph or Will Howard. Will Howard, the rookie draft pick, which I like Will Howard. But Mason Rudolph right now if the season started tomorrow, he's the starter.
But at this point in time, Colin, it's May 15th.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, I think they have to at least have come to grips with, like, everything's kind of on the table here. They cannot, for a very old school organization. I saw a quote from Papa Rooney. He's like the 60-year-old Rooney that said, we don't love playing at night late in the season. It's like, well, that usually means you're good. Like, it comes with the territory. You think Andy Reid wants to play all these night games? No, but it comes with being the Chiefs. You're the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just think they have gotten to this position where, and it's hard. I mean, look at the Saints. Drew Brees retires, and they're just going through quarterbacks. They tried a Derek, that failed. Now they're in this weird position with a 28-year-old rookie. It's not like an easy solution.
26, brother. Look, here's where the Steelers, I think, have fallen. They've fallen into this weird, everyone just kind of looks at them like this old school, proud organization, but they've really kind of slipped into irrelevancy, and it's the worst kind of irrelevancy, where they've almost tricked the NFL. And, like, really think about it. Like, for the Saints, okay, Breeze retires, Peyton leaves, you try some other stuff, you go and get Carr, whatever, doesn't work out, fine. Like, there's some moving and shaking there. With Pittsburgh, it's like they almost don't want to move and shake. Like, it's almost like they're holding on to something. They're holding on to, well, we got Mike Tomlin, we got a good defense, we got this, we got that. Then you look at it, like, I don't want to bury the lead here. So, this is the Steelers' playoffs record. They haven't won a playoff game since 2016. Okay? They are one and done. 2016 is the last time this proud organization won a playoff game. That is a long time. I mean, that is, something's going on here, right? You look at their just seasons. Okay, they go 13-3 in 2017. Right, I think they're the 1 seed, and boom, they lose in the first round of the playoffs at home. Okay, then they go 9-6, 8-8, 12-4. Boom, lose in the first round of the playoffs to a division rival, the Browns, at home. At home, meaning in Pittsburgh, not that Cleveland was at home. Then 9-7, 9-8, 10-7, 10-7, all with wild first round losses. All right. Then you go to this, right? You go to their actual, like, depth chart. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Kyle Allen is their quarterback room last year. Then it's a complete turnover to this year, where now you've got Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and potentially Aaron Rodgers. You look at their DVOA. This is offensive DVOA. All right, 2019, they're 31st. Okay, 2020, they are, this is offensive. 2020, they are 22nd. 2021, they are 25th. 2022, they are 17th. 2023, they are 17th. 2023, they are 15th. 2024, they are 19th. Like, it's just been bad, below average, horrible playoff record. And then they're going into this season, okay, after what we just talked about. They haven't won a playoff game in almost 10 years. They have not had even above average offense since 2018. Okay? They are completely just shifting all these quarterbacks, these below average quarterbacks in the room, keeping Mike Tomlin at the helm, relying on this defense, this idea of this defense. And this is what their depth chart looks like. Mason Rudolph, you've got Jalen Warren, Caleb Johnson, Kenneth Gainwell. You've got DK Metcalf, who you trade for, and pair him up with Robert Woods, Stone Cold Calvin Austin, Scotty Miller, Ben Skoronski, Roman Wilson, Pat Freiermuth is there. Like, look at this team. If I'm a Steelers fan and I'm staring down 10 years of no success, and I'm staring down offensive, not even mediocrity, but offensive just kind of nothingness, and I'm in mid-May, and this is the team that they've put together, why would I even watch the games? Why would I even watch this? What do they think is going to happen here? Even if you insert Aaron Rodgers. It's like, I mean, sweet. I get to watch Aaron Rodgers spin the pill to DK Metcalf and Stone Cold Calvin Austin. I hope Jalen Warren and Caleb Johnson and Kenneth Gainwell can do something. I hope they can make it happen. Let's look at defensive DVOA, since defensive defense is what the Steelers have basically, built their bread and butter on. Last year they were 8th. 2023 they were 6th. 2022 they were 12th. 2021 they were 17th. 2020 they were where are they? Oh, number 1. They were number 1 in 2020. And a lot of this is TJ Watt being the defensive player of the year. 2019 they were 3rd. Defense has been good for sure. 2018 they were 15th. That's as far back as it goes. So defensively they're fine, but offensively it's like, man, guys, y'all got to wake up. Look at the division. You got Joe Burrow. You got Lamar Jackson. Yes, Cleveland is ass. Okay, but you have to get into the future. You got to do something. And newsflash, it ain't Aaron Rodgers.
But they've shown their true colors of, like, their organizational philosophy is run the ball and play defense. That is Bruce Arians. When Roethlisberger was turning into a star, the Rooney family was not happy with them throwing the ball so much.
Yeah, but not really. Like, again, if we look at the seasons, like, or let's go to DVOA. We go to rushing DVOA. Like, even if that's the idea, right? The idea is, all right, we're going to run the football. We're going to run the football and play defense. Okay, well, they were 18th in 2023. They were 12th in 2020, or they were 18th in 2024, 12th in 2023. They were 16th in 2022. In 2021, they were 27th. In 2020, they were, and this is all just rushing offense, they were 30th. They don't even do that well. In 2019, they were 30th, 2019 and 2020. In 2018, they were 11th. I mean, who's the last good Pittsburgh Steelers running back? It's not Najee Harris, I'll tell you that much. Najee Harris still thinks the 1,000-yard seasons is good. Who was their last good running back? Rashard Mendenhall? Like, if you look at, we'll go back and look at the running. I mean, we know Najee has been the running back for the last couple of seasons. So you got Najee, all right, 2023, 2022, 2021 might be his rookie year. All right, so you got Najee Harris, who, whatever. 2020, you got James Conner. Well, I'm trying to see who led in rushing. So James Conner led them in rushing in 2020. 2019, James Conner again. James Conner, Benny Snell, and Jalen Samuels, and Kareth White Jr. James Conner led rushing with 464 yards. Okay, 2018, James Conner with 973 yards, and Jalen Samuel pops up again. 2017, we'll go Le'Veon Bell. I mean, this is the Le'Veon Bell. And Le'Veon Bell was sweet. Man, he was awesome. Man, he was awesome. Le'Veon Bell was ahead of his time for sure. Le'Veon Bell kind of changed how running backs were. You know, like Le'Veon Bell kind of made it okay to be like the cool tweener where you're a wide receiver as much as you're a running back. A lot of people said that Le'Veon Bell could have been a full-time receiver and he would have been effective. But they don't even do what you think they do well. Like, they don't even do, because like John just said, oh, they're defense and running. They're defense and running. It's like, well, not really. You know, like, they don't really run the ball well. They don't do any of that well. The only thing they've done well is with Roethlisberger, where he's just spinning the pill and throwing for 5,000 yards.
That's when they were winning the Super Bowl. You know, the organizational philosophy does not start with Mike Tomlin. It starts with the Rooney family. Play D, run the ball. I mean, look, they draft that running back who I like, the Iowa kid, and they drafted defensive tackle in the first. They've been doing the same thing since well before I was alive, and I think they're going to be doing it well after Tomlin's gone one day. So I think whether Rodgers shows up or whether Mason Rudolph hands the ball to Caleb Johnson and they try to stuff the run with Harmon and TJ Watt, like, that's how they're going to play, which is insane. But you could argue even if he shows up, they're going to beat Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and some of these teams. So
get
it's
real.
Bills. What are we even talking about? They are.
People keep talking about the Saints, like, oh, the Saints are going to be bad, the Saints are going to be this. I'd rather what the Saints have than Mason Rudolph, than Caleb Johnson, Mason Rudolph, Pat Freiermuth, Stone Cold Calvin Austin, Robert Woods, and DK Metcalf. I'd much rather Tyler Shucker, Spencer Rattler, Alvin Kamara, Jawan Johnson, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. I mean, this is despicable. This is downright despicable, is what it is.
They are kind of stuck. They're like the better version of the post-Peyton, Drew Brees Saints, but it still doesn't get you anywhere. And
no way.
It leads actually.
No way. No way. The Saints roster is way better than that. Way better. I mean, just Alvin Kamara, just Chris Olave. I mean, just some, like, Rashid Shaheed is their second best receiver, for sure. No doubt about it. Like, Jawan Johnson is their best tight end. Alvin Kamara is their best running back. Tyler Shuck is probably beating out Mason Rudolph.
Actually, a lot more animosity where it's like, what are we doing? Like, how often are we celebrating? He's never had a losing season. Yes, we know. He's really good coach. But, like, if the organization, we don't pick or go after young quarterbacks, why not just draft a quarterback every year in the top couple rounds just until you figure it out when you're in this position? You got to take some swings. Or let's just re-sign Mason Rudolph and trade for this. Like, this is not going to work, guys.
Well, just the fact they keep going.
Well, I mean, they kind of did, right? Like, they kind of did do that with Kenny Pickett, and look how that worked out.
Going back to Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
It tells you they're just uncomfortable with risk offensively.
They're uncomfortable. Yeah, exactly, Colin. They're afraid of this. It's like the Steeler way. They're so obsessed with that, but the Steeler way has produced absolutely nothing in 10 years. And yeah, Mason Rudolph has been on and off the team. Like, that's who they keep going back to. He is the answer. Mason Rudolph.
Well, they tried last year, right? Which was a little out of there. They're like, we'll get these two guys, and it ended. And
but Russell was a hell of a deal. I mean, they got Russell with the whole Denver situation, and then Fields, and I mean, but even then, it's like I'd rather just have Russell and Fields than Mason Rudolph. Now I do like Will Howard. I think they should forget the Aaron Rodgers thing and just see what you got in Will Howard. But
you could tell like that wasn't really our thing. Russell, big personality. Fields got some limitations, but ideally probably not a starter for us. They didn't like that. And I give them credit for trying what they tried. They punted on Kenny Pickett, and clearly they're like, we're not doing that thing again. Too many people talking about but now they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. It's just, they're in just a weird space for a franchise that, I mean, what would you say in your lifetime? One of the better run American sports franchises in America?
But like, always an ad, ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe 12 years ago, I thought you could argue they were the best overall franchise most of my life. I mean,
the Steelers are a typical, I mean, this happens in all sports. The league evolves, the sport evolves, and a team refuses to evolve, and they just get kind of swept up in it.
I started watching football 1972, but from like 1974, 75 until maybe 10 to 12 years ago, I thought they were in the, the argument with the Patriots. Patriots had down years, but the Brady years, but I mean, they were just like well run. And now I always find this ish is fascinating to me. Old successful people that can't age well.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it happens.
It's just really, really weird to me when you see Bobby Knight. I'm not going to do the one and done. Why not? Don't you want to win games? Like, I don't get it. Or Belichick. Yep. Matt Patricia is the offensive coordinator. Bill, you're smarter than that. What are you doing? Like, it's fascinating to me that all the people in the building in Pittsburgh, and they can't get the offensive line right. They can't get quarterback right. And they're not, I mean, like Kenny Pickett, I guess, was a swing, but it's like, it's not that hard. I think sometimes I underestimate.
But it's like they're a walking contradiction, because then it's like, well, the Steelers don't want, anyone talking about their quarterback room, or they swung and missed, but they're tied to Aaron Rodgers, who's the most like polarizing quarterback that you could possibly have in the NFL. Like, it's not like they're going and getting Joe Flacco and just having some, whatever middle of the road guy who's not going to cause any problems. They're going after Aaron Rodgers.
Estimate the gap between like Sean McVay. I did this the other day.
Yeah.
The Steelers are the opposite of the Rams. The Rams.
Yeah. I can't remember whose podcast was, but they were making the argument they would rather have Mike Tomlin than Kyle Shanahan. It's like, are you insane? Are you insane? In what universe? I'll tell you what universe. 2008. I'll tell you what universe. 2014. Not now. No way. Absolutely not.
Rams.
I mean, like, think about if you're a Steelers fan. As a Saints fan, we're going into the season, and it's like, well, I mean, I'll take my chances against Bryce Young, Michael Penix. We still have no idea what he's got. Like, okay, the Bucs are good, sure, but you got a shot against Bryce Young. You got a shot against Michael Penix until we see what he actually is. If you're the Steelers, how are you possibly looking at this season like, well, we got a shot. Mason Rudolph's got a shot against Lamar Jackson. No, Mason Rudolph's got a shot against Joe Burrow. Or are you just entering the season like, man, well, I guess third place will have to do.
Spend money on a young, progressive offensive coach. The Steelers on an old defensive coach. One team has made the playoffs like 7 of the last 8 years. The Steelers haven't won a playoff game in like 8 years or something. One team spends no money on defense. One leads the league in spending on defense. One never takes a chance on character guys. Like they don't put them on their draft board. One makes a living off that. It's almost, if I can't quite figure the Steelers out, they want.
But then at the same time, it's like they get George Pickens. Like I said, they're a weird contradiction of themselves.
Character, but nobody's had more divas and high maintenance offensive guys than the Steelers.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to win.
It's insane. Like, it's like, you got high character, whatever. But then you look around, you're like, well, there was Antonio Brown, George Pickens, and I think Le'Veon Bell kind of got screwed with his contract, but that whole holdout situation, like, it is a weird situation. where they seem to be one thing, they kind of are one thing, but at the same time they are not that thing.
But then they don't take care of the number one position. Like I find them, I feel like there's a messaging issue in the building, and like Omar Khan, my sources don't consider him like a great general manager.
Yeah, I know that what was his name? Colbert, the former GM, I think was really, really highly thought of in NFL circles by personnel people. I think people would say that they've dropped off, in terms of that. Just the group, Khan and his group relative to Colbert. I would say the other thing is, once the Ravens moved to Baltimore and Ozzie and DeCosta was with them the whole time, they had, during the 2000s, now they had really good teams, but they basically played the Steelers every year. They became their rival. And they copied the way they did things, like toughness, hardcore guys, playing any environment, toughest team in the league. And now over the last decade plus, it's like we do it better than you. So we had a front row seat. It's like you're our main competition in business. We know exactly how you do things. Yet,
yeah, but yes, true. But the Ravens also have drastically evolved. And John Harbaugh is one of the most progressive, quick to evolve, quick to adapt coaches in the NFL. He might be the number one, besides probably Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. But he is up there with like, all right, we're pivoting. All right, we're adapting. All right, we're evolving. Okay, I see it. All right, I see what's happening.
We're a little more open-minded and progressive to the way that we scout, coach, however, and we've now lapped you. Because that's what it feels like. The Ravens are running circles around them. And hell, the Ravens can't even get over the hump in the playoffs, but they're...
But I think it's because of John Harbaugh. Like, I think Harbaugh has just lapped Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin has hit the ceiling. Or the ceiling was a long time ago. Whereas Harbaugh is evolving and pushing and changing and trying new things.
In a different universe than the Steelers. And then the Bengals, listen, a lot of people make fun of them, but they've hit on some players over the years, and getting Joe Burrow changed that franchise regardless how weird and rinky-dink it can feel sometimes. But I do think the Ravens kind of getting their blueprint and then modernizing it, like the internet version, has really hurt if the Ravens were a little bit more of just a regular run-of-the-mill, 10-11 win team, but they just have become a dumb.
Well, it also helps that they got a generational quarterback, a multi-time MVP superstar quarterback. Like, that usually helps.
Dominant NFL team, especially with Lamar,
yeah,
it has made the Steelers look a lot worse. I mean, look, anyone could have had Derrick Henry, right?
Yeah.
They got him for $8 million. Boom, he goes there. He runs for whatever, almost 2,000 yards, and they give him an extension. It's like, no brainer. It's like, shouldn't the Steelers have been all over a guy like that? I mean, they were kicking Najee Harris to the curb.
Exactly. They're like, oh, we're this run-heavy defense team. And then you look at the DVOA, like we just looked at it. It's like, damn, they don't even run the ball well. And then you look at who's been on the depth chart. It's like, well, of course they don't. It's been James Conner and Najee Harris and who the hell ever else. And you have to go all the way back to Le'Veon Bell, to where they had a tried-and-true like superstar running back. And yeah, John's right. Like, when players like Saquon and Derrick Henry are available for cheap, why are they not? Why are they not jumping on those players?
And I just think that the Steelers are just kind of in this weird spot. They're too well run, and they Mike Tomlin's too high level of a guy. They're never going to suck. Like, they're never going to have a season where it's like, oh, this is the year they drafted 6th. That's just not going to happen. But drafting 16th to 20th every year is not a great place to be either, because they're doing it basically every year for what, a decade plus. They haven't won a playoff game since they beat Kansas City in the second round. I think that was Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell were their star offensive players. That's a long time ago, Colin.
Hell yeah,
the last 16 years, Ravens, including playoffs, have won the most games in that division, and that was about, I think Steve Bisciotti bought the franchise 20 plus years ago, but it took him a few years to get it right. And to your point, I think they copied the Steelers model a little bit. I mean, in that cold weather part of the country, there are certain absolutes, like you have to be able to run the football. You have to play really good defense. You better have good offensive lines. You're not going to be throwing the ball down the field. In fact, I could argue before Zay Flowers, I didn't think Baltimore drafted wide receivers particularly well. They drafted everything else exceptionally well. The Steelers draft wide receivers exceptionally well, but they've had a lot of misses on the offensive line and quarterbacks and other spaces. So it is a weird franchise. Okay, this is just a little bit of schedule talk.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell are they doing is the bottom line. Like, the Steelers have got to be They got to be the most overrated franchise in the last decade. I mean, got to be. You look at just how the last 10 years have played out, how the playoffs have played out. It's just brutal. I mean, since 2017 and on, so I mean, the last 7 years, it's got to be tiring. It's got to be absolutely tiring for a Steelers fan. And if I was a Steelers fan and I was going into this season with this depth chart, I would be raising hell. And I'm surprised it's not talked about enough. I mean, maybe the defense can carry. What was the defensive DVOA last year? I don't think, was it, let's see. Last year it was 8th or 9th, depending on how you're looking. I mean, you got to have like an elite number 1 with a bullet defense to carry this kind of offensive depth chart. But, I mean, this is the kind of offensive depth chart that gets you the least amount of wins in the NFL. I mean, you roll Mason Rudolph out there every week. I don't know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments below what you think. What the hell are the Steelers doing waiting on Aaron Rodgers? Would you roll Will Howard out there? I think I would. All right. I will see you in the next video.